What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Studio B as we are recording. This is a brand new episode of the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D, right here on the various platforms of social media, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are presented by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my adult superhero romance thriller saga, The Affinity Saga, with Book 1, the 3-time award-winning Affinity Theory, and Echoes, Book 2 of the Affinity Saga. Well, I'm certainly glad to be on the live with y'all on today. Not on the live. We're not recording live today, but to be on the podcast with y'all today. Got a couple of things that are on my mind on today. We're going to be talking about Tabitha Brown and how she, is trying to galvanize the community of entrepreneurs who may be struggling out there, and encouraging them to make sure that they are, taking care of business while trying to take care of business, and some of the backlash that she got with that. Also going to be talking about sexuality and the whole phase that this one particular person was talking about on the social medias, and going to jump into that on today. And so certainly glad again to be on the pod with y'all on today, and hope that you're having a fantastic day wherever you're listening, whenever you're listening. And so welcome once again to the Just Talking About podcast. Let's get into it. I had this one particular person goes by the name of Evita Robinson. And she basically said that everybody needs a whole phase, and there's one important reason why. And so I wanted to play this clip for us today to hear what she has to say, and then I'm going to jump into what my thoughts are about that.
All right, here we go. Also, welcome to Costa Rica. What's up, y'all? I'm Evita Robinson, 2-time Emmy Award-winning storyteller and the founder of No Madness Travel Track. Here's the deal. I grew up in the generation and time of Erykah Badu's On and On, Khalees's I Hate You So Much Right Now, and Lil' Kim's Hardcore. And the truth is, I'm a little bit of all of them. Hello. Let me tell you something. Being 40s, these hormones and this libido, may have another one right around the corner. Okay, but in all seriousness, I do mean this. It's very important that everybody has a hoe phase, and it's for one reason in particular. You need the information that it provides. You deserve to know what your body likes and doesn't like. It also plays a huge part in understanding your sexual preferences. Also, it plays a role in consent, because if you don't know your boundaries, how are you able to stand 10 toes down in them? Which means it also plays a part in sensual and sexual safety. I mean, to me, it's one of the most formative phases we have in life. I mean, shit, you can laugh if you want to, but I'm dead serious. I hoe phase so hard when I was younger that my friends had to give me a mini intervention. And guess what? I'm so glad for it. I truly believe that sex became more fulfilling on the other side of it. And now we grown, so sticks and stones may break my bones, but a hoe phase could change your life. Peace, y'all.
So there are two branches of thought that I have, at least, when thinking about this whole phase that, Miss Evie was saying that everybody ought to have. One is going in the route of understanding who you are and understanding your personhood. And the other is the loss of intimacy in terms of relationship. And I'll get to that in a minute. When it comes to understanding who you are and understanding what you like, a whole phase may be beneficial in that regard. May be beneficial because you do need to kind of understand. I'm not going to say kind of, you do need to understand your body, what you want, what you like, what you don't like, how it feels, what turns you on, what turns you off, those sort of things. And while head knowledge can help with that, experience can also help with that too. And so a whole phase can be beneficial in that regard. All the things that she said, knowing what you want, knowing what your preferences are, being able to stand 10 toes down on what you want and what you don't want, consent, all those things. Those things are important, and experience is a good teacher. And people often say it's the best teacher. I can argue with that, but experience is a good teacher to help us to understand our boundaries, our desires, our preferences, our wishes, our needs, all those things. And so in that regard, I can understand. As a therapist, I can understand that, you know, when you are trying to understand yourself and understand what you want, what you don't want, what you like, what you don't like, that it's good if you know, if you had enough experience to know these are my preferences when it comes to, when it comes to sexuality. And so to that end, the whole phase may be beneficial. It does provide a lot of information that you're then able to take with you to know what kind of relationship you want to be in, who you prefer, what type of person you prefer, and all the things that come with that. But lost in that sauce is the element of intimacy. When we use people to gain information about ourselves, the whole phase becomes, to me, a diminishing, there comes with it a diminishing of the mental, emotional, and spiritual connections that are tied to sex. While, yes, we want to figure out our physical preferences, no questions asked, we reduce sex to a physical act of gratification when we ignore the mental, emotional, and spiritual components that sexuality has attached to it. When we make it all about gratifying my body, what gets me off, we diminish all those other important elements that make sexuality that much more pleasurable, enjoyable, and most important, a connective opportunity. I have a lot of couples that I talk to in therapy, and a lot of them, whether it be on the male or the female side, will come and talk about the fact that even when they're doing it, they don't feel connected to their person. And that lost connection makes it difficult to perform. And so, while yes, I may know what I want and how I want it, touch me here, touch me there, that sort of thing, if I don't feel connected to the person that I'm, getting it on with, the likelihood of this being a pleasurable, enjoyable experience diminishes greatly. And so, while I understand the information that can be discovered while having a whole phase, there's a component, several components really, that end up being diminished, have the potential, I'll say it like that, to be diminished because I'm out here trying to figure out what I like physically. And so you may have someone, for example, who they're going through their whole phase and they link up with somebody who is thinking we're making an emotional, mental, spiritual connection, but this person's just out here in their whole phase trying to figure out what they like and don't like. And now wires are crossed. And while I think I'm making an emotional, mental, spiritual connection on one side, on the other, I'm just trying to figure out what I like, don't like, want to get this information. And knowing how we usually are in our lack of communication with one another about sex in general, because don't nobody like to talk about it. We just assume we gonna figure it out. We don't talk about the particulars. Wires getting crossed up. I'm not communicating that wires are getting crossed up. So now all this emotional and mental, spiritual baggage and damage is taking place while the whole phase is going on. And it's not just happening with the person who's confused. It's also happening with the person who's going through a whole phase. Because again, those emotional, mental, spiritual components are now things you're going to have to wrestle with as you're discovering who you are sexually. Again, this is not me bashing anybody who's done it. Not me bashing anybody who's doing it. You do what you want to do. All means, all about, pro-choice. You do what you want to do. But again, I think what is lost in Miss Evie's conversation is that while, yes, you are free to do what you want to do, and everybody should get that information about what you like and what you don't like, we have to also consider the mental and emotional and spiritual gymnastics you're going to have to do in order to go through your whole phase and get this information. Because you're going to have to ignore a lot of mental cues, a lot of emotional cues, and a lot of spiritual cues of the connectivity that is happening when you're having sex. Again, I say it like this: sex is not just a physical act. It's not just a physical act. There's all this other stuff that's happening in the midst of this connection of two people being intimate with one another physically that you're going to have to ignore in order to do what she is suggesting that everyone do to gain this information. Again, do what you do, but this is me throwing up warning signs saying, hey, be mindful. If you're going to go out there and have this whole phase that she think everybody ought to have, they can figure out what they like and what they don't like. You're going to have to ignore a ton of stuff. Shut a lot of stuff down. Block a lot of things. Put on the shelf a lot of things. Turn off a lot of things in order to take on this scientific experiment to determine what you like and what you don't like and everything that comes with that. Having said that, what I think also gets lost in this conversation is that part of the intimacy that is lost across the board with a lot of people is that we as partners, we don't know how to talk to each other when it comes to sexuality. Talking to, again, some clients. When we're together, if we're in a relationship and there's open and honest communication that's happening, healthy communication that's happening, being able to talk about sex ought to be fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's talk about what you like and what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want. Let's experiment. Let's bring some things. Let's introduce some things. Let's figure some stuff out. As life progresses and changes, we get to talk about, hey, that things change. What do you like? What do you know? It should be fun. An exercise in intimacy. Being able to communicate what my body wants and what it doesn't want, what I like, what I don't like. The inability to be able to have those conversations is indicative of a lack of intimacy that extends beyond physicality. If I'm not able to tell my partner, who I'm supposed to be able to share all my secrets with, what I like and what I don't like physically when it comes to sex and when it comes to intimacy, physical intimacy, then what does that say about our relationship? That we can't have those conversations. The honest to goodness truth is we have a lot of pride and a lot of ego that we don't want to be lessened by underperforming for our partner. If my partner's not getting theirs, what does that say about me? Is usually where these conversations go, or where these conversations in our heads go. If my partner didn't get theirs today, what does that say about me? If my partner didn't achieve, what does that say about me? So pride and ego really get in the way when it comes to having these kinds of conversations, because instead of making it about what does my partner need, what does my partner want, what does my partner value, I'm so insecure within myself that I've made this conversation now all one-sided. It's all about me and the fact that I didn't get them off. I didn't make her, I didn't make her achieve. And so now, rather than having an intimate conversation about intimacy, I'm just now having conversations in my head. And with those conversations in my head, I now am trying to see subconsciously, subliminally, where can I get what I'm looking for? Instead of talking to the one person who I ought to be able to have these conversations with so that we can figure it out together. See, we've made sex such an individual sport that we have forgotten the connective components that come with sexuality and intimacy. And so I would counter Miss Evie's argument and say, you don't need to have a whole phase to figure out what you want. You need to talk and explore with someone who you value or trust as your partner. Now, how you define that is completely up to you. But I don't think you need to slay a whole bunch of folk to figure out what you like and what you don't like. I'm not saying just have one, but again, if I am in a relationship and we're figuring things out in our relationship, sexuality and intimacy is one of the things that we can figure out together, and it doesn't have to be a hit to the ego and pride. We can actually figure this stuff out and have fun doing it. But again, what often happens is that we act as if I gotta know what I'm doing, because we've lost the art of communicating with one another. What do I like? What do I don't like? How is this, working for me? How's this not working for me? Touch me here, touch me there. Move this here, move this there. I love the movie Friends with Benefits. It's got Mila Kunis and Justin Timberlake. I love that movie because when they finally started getting it in, they were communicating with each other. Touch me here, touch me there, move this, move that. Do it like this. That's how I like it. I don't like that. This is what happens when I achieve. This is what happens when I achieve. They're having the conversations that we ought to be having with our partners. If you notice later on in the movie, when Mila Kunis's role, is with another dude, she doesn't have those conversations with him. They just start performing. And it's supposed to be assumed, yeah, I'm doing it right. Yeah, I'm doing it right. Instead of having those same conversations that she had with Justin Timberlake's role. For most of us, we don't tell people what we want. We don't tell people how we like it. We don't tell the people that we're in relationship with. We assume that they're supposed to know. And again, even if we don't assume, we may be so afraid of hurting our partner's pride and ego that we won't say anything. Some of us will go so far as to fake it. And so, while again, I understand I understand, having a whole phase, figure out what you want, how you like it, how you don't like it, getting that information, just wilding out, getting it in. Again, I would challenge and argue, and I'm not even bringing the faith into this. I can do that, but I ain't even bringing the faith into this. I would just simply argue that maybe instead of having a whole phase, maybe open your mouth and have a conversation or a series of conversations with the person that you're choosing to do life with. Again, whatever configuration that is, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, whether, whoever it is that you're with, because again, everybody, each his own, love positive, sex positive, all the things, love who you love, but whatever configuration that is, partner, husband, wife, whatever, that instead of having a whole phase and slaying folk left and right to figure out what you like and what you don't like and boundaries and all those things, instead, increase your ability to be open, honest, transparent, and vulnerable, and talk to the person who you're in relationship with or trying to do life with or whatever, and let's talk about sex. Maybe. I can't sing the songs when we ain't got no endorsement. I don't want to get, fined for it, but let's have conversation. If you can remove pride and ego, set it to the side, you might discover that your partner may be able to give you everything you want and more if you just have a conversation with them. Let's explore each other's bodies. Just like we explore each other's minds, we explore each other's emotions, we explore each other's finances, we explore each other's parenting styles, we explore, what makes us tick, all those things. We can explore our bodies too. We can explore our bodies too. We have lifted up sex to be this crowning achievement of life, as if that is the thing that makes or breaks relationships. We act as if it is this magnanimous thing that we have to possess, as if that is the thing, if that is the goal, if that is the chief end of man, to know our bodies sexually. And while, yes, we should know our bodies sexually, at what cost? At what cost? Because again, if the crowning achievement of what we are accomplishing is all about getting it in and getting it in the way that I want to get it in, that's all that life is about. It's just making sure that I get mine when I get it in. Then we are losing several elements of what sex was meant to be. Because it's not just about physical connection. It's not just about body parts, making body parts react and respond in specific ways. So much more and so much deeper than that. And having a whole phase, listen to what she said. Listen to what she said. She said that in her whole phase, her friends had to have a mini intervention with her to help her recognize that, hey, girl, you are wilding out. And she herself admitted she was so grateful for that. She gained a lot of information as a result, no doubt about it. But even herself admitted, I wowed out. I was way out there on the deep end. And it took a mini intervention to reel me back in. And again, like she said, she beneficial for now on this back end of it all. But in the midst of it, what does it profit a man? I see what you did. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? What can a man give in exchange for his soul? Sex had become what she chased after. Getting it in, achieving, was all that was on her mind in her whole phase. And they needed to reel her in to help her realize, baby, you doing the most. And she agreed. What does it profit a man to get all of the hoeing in as possible, but your soul be lost in the midst of it? Because like I said, in order for you to do what she's suggesting, you're going to have to turn off your mental, emotional, and spiritual connectivity to do what she's suggesting. Solomon wrote the book of Ecclesiastes, and he said, I was mowing them down. 300 wives, 700 concubines. I was getting it in. And I realized it's all vanity. Meaningless. Anybody got it in, he got it in real good. 1,000 folk. And it still wasn't enough. The information he gained was great, sure. But his soul was on the verge. Because he wanted to know, is this what's going to bring me joy? Is this what's going to bring me peace? Is this what's going to bring me satisfaction in my soul? And he realized, no, it don't. So again, I'm not judging anybody doing what you do. You do what you do. But just know the consequences that come with doing that to gain what you're wanting to gain from that experience. I'm simply suggesting there is another way. Dare I say, a better way. Rather than experimenting with a bunch of people to figure out what you like and what you don't like, why not pursue a meaningful relationship? And in pursuing a meaningful relationship, having the necessary conversations and explorations thereof to figure out what you like and what you don't like, and being able to share that experience with someone you care about, someone you love, rather than some joker on the street who don't know you from Adam. To be known is to be loved. To be loved is to be known. And again, divorcing sexuality from intimacy in that regard is a very dangerous place to be, because it renders your soul weak, frail, and vulnerable. And if your soul is the most important thing to you, why would you risk destroying it to gain information that you could easily get from someone who actually cares about your soul and not just your body and what it can do for them? Far too often, we make sex or any other thing more important than our souls, our spirit. And again, I'm simply giving another way. Maybe instead of trying to figure out your information sexually and making that the chief end, maybe a relationship, a meaningful, intimate relationship with someone can glean the same information, but with someone you care about rather than someone who cares about you, rather than with someone who only cares about what they can do to you and what you can do to them. You are listening to and watching the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D, right here on the various platforms of social media, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are sponsored by Rebirth Publishings, the publishing arm of my adult superhero romance thriller saga, The Affinity Saga, with book 1, the 3-time award-winning Affinity Theory, in which Malcolm, Simone, and their superpowered teammates have come together to take down a maniacal force of darkness who's hell-bent on wiping out the powered population and murking one of their own. And Echoes, book 2 of the saga, in which Malcolm, Simone, and the Elite Defenders unit must stand united against the rogue political faction in a battle for the soul of Uri City. Will the Elite Defenders stand united against this colossal juggernaut's assault, or will the monsters of their past eviscerate them and seize possession of the soul of a nation? It's X-Men meets True Blood meets Captain America Civil War in an epic clash of the titans that you do not want to miss. I encourage everyone, tap on the links below to secure your copies of The Affinity Theory and Echoes, a part of the Rebirth Publishing's brand. And I'll be so grateful because you guys are really in for a treat. You're going to be crying in my DMs talking about I need book 3. So again, I appreciate y'all for being on the live with me on today as we're talking about all sorts of kind of things, as always. In particular, I wanted to talk about Tabitha Brown. She recently made a post, and it made a lot of people mad. And not that I'm surprised, because people get mad about all sorts of things all the time. But she particularly made folk mad as she was talking to them about the fact that we might need to go get some jobs as entrepreneurs, because sometimes the math ain't mathing. And so I'm going to play for her original post, and then I'm going to play her response to the backlash that she was getting from some people. Here we go.
Hello there. Real quick, this is not to discourage you, because I want us to be clear about that first. Okay? You kind of been in this place for a long time. Okay? Now listen, you got good ideas. Baby, you got good ideas. Your execution is not as good. Okay? Your follow through, not as good. The ideas though are great. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And that doesn't mean it's not for you, but right now, these last few months, few years, you know what I'm talking about. Maybe it ain't been working for you, okay? And you're doing a lot of robbing Peter to pay Paul. Okay, you done got yourself in some mess, and it's time for you to get a job. You hear me? You just gonna need to get a job for a little while. Okay, it don't mean your ideas ain't good. Okay, it don't mean that maybe one day you could be a good entrepreneur. But you have proven to yourself and everybody else that you owe money to, okay, that it ain't working right now. Okay, it ain't worked for a while. It actually has never worked yet. Doesn't mean it won't ever work. But right now you need to go to work. You're gonna need to get a job. Okay? And then keep working towards it. But at least you'll have a job while you are pursuing that thing. But right now, you need to get a job, baby. All right? That's it. I love you. Now go about your business. Okay, have a good night. Tomorrow have a good day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's here. Don't be mad at me. Okay? Hello there, honey. Y'all all right? So listen real quick. Last night I did a video and I was talking to my entrepreneurial spirits and my entrepreneurs. Okay? And the word was, honey, it's time to get a little job. Okay? Because you ain't got no income coming in. And some folks got upset about that. But let's talk about it. All right? First and foremost, I ain't never gonna tell somebody to give up on their dreams. Never. For the last 8 years, I have publicly shared my journey that I worked while I waited, right? You can have a dream, you can have a goal, you can have a vision that God has given you, and you can still have a job while pursuing it. Do you understand? See, I'm talking to the people who burnt all their bridges up. Baby, you have burnt all your bridges because you refuse to get a little side hustle or a job to have income coming in while pursuing your passion and your dream. I'm not talking about the people who are trying to get jobs. I'm not talking about the people who you do have a little, job and things are still hard. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the people who are just like, I ain't gonna get no job. I'm gonna just ask such and such for the money, or I'm gonna do this and this to get the money, instead of trying to literally work while pursuing. Do you understand? I'm talking to the people who just have decided that working is beneath them. That's who I'm talking to. Okay? You know who you are. I'm not talking to the people who like, Tab, I didn't try to get a job. Baby, the key word is tried. I'm talking to the people who ain't trying. They know who they are. And you know who they are. Okay? We can still pursue our passion and our dreams while working a temporary job that will help us get there. But what we shouldn't do is hurt our family, our friends. We shouldn't burn all our bridges and relationships because we believe so wholeheartedly that work is beneath us because we have this vision. Baby, we all got good vision. But sometimes, honey, you're going to have to go and get a little job for a little while so you got a little money coming in so you can pay your own bills while you're still pursuing your dream and your passion. Nothing is wrong with a job, especially if you know without the shadow of a doubt that your vision, your dream, God gave it to you and you see it so clear. If you know that, baby, then you know that a job is temporary. I'm just doing this right now, honey, because I know my thing going to hit. It's going to hit. Work while you wait on it to hit. Work while you pursue that thing. Stop burning them bridges. Stop thinking that a little job is beneath you. It's not. We can all work while we wait. I pursue my dreams. I still pursue them. Okay, I'm still pursuing. But for over 25 years, right? I pursued my dreams while working jobs that had nothing to do with my dreams. Call centers, staffing agencies, which is temporary employment, nursing homes. I was a caregiver. I worked in retail, Macy's, contract manufacturing, shipping, UPS, fast food. I did court call. I did so many odd jobs because I had responsibilities. Children. I had a husband who is my partner, right? How dare I leave him out to dry, right? I got this dream. I got it. I see it. It's clear, babe. That's what I would tell him. But I also went to work, honey. And I would work jobs for a little while and quit. But I would make sure that I had money to help pay them bills, right? I won't never out here just not having no money coming in because I had this dream. I still always kept a little job or a little side hustle to make sure I could pay my bills while pursuing my passion. Baby, now I would be at work, okay, talking about, oh, I gotta go do this doctor's appointment and go to an audition. Now, I done told them many lies. That was part of my hustle. But I still showed up to work. I still went on back and clocked on in, okay? You name it, Tab about did it. While I pursued acting, while I pursued entertainment. Baby, drove Uber. Thank God I did. Because I did a video while sitting in my car from driving Uber that went viral and changed my life. Sometimes you getting a job is the door that the Lord is waiting to open for you to get to your dream. So don't think that a job is beneath you. It's not. It may just be part of your journey. And that's okay. Just stay locked in. Keep believing. Like, my plan A is going to work. But ain't nothing wrong with you working while you wait on it to happen. Okay? Two things can be true. Working while you waiting. You can still pursue the dream while you work. All right. That's it. I love you, honey. Now keep dreaming big, but also get you a little job, get a little money coming in, a little side hustle ain't never hurt nobody. Okay, get them bills paid. Get them bills paid. Stop tearing up them relationships. You can figure this out. Okay, that's it. I love you. All right, and I want you to go on about your business, baby, and have yourself a good day. But even if you can't have a good one, don't you dare go messing up nobody else's. I see.
So a lot of people were all up in their feelings about Tabitha Brown, talk about, oh, you trying to tell me to give up on my dream, and you didn't do this, and you did that, and da 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 da. Why I got to give up on mine? You didn't give up on yours. And two things. Number one, once again, people heard the front end of what she was talking about and didn't hear nothing of the rest that she had to say. And got up and wrote a whole dissertation, getting up and making videos and all that about, how dare she talk about I need to go get a job and give up on my dreams. That is not what that lady said. That is not what that lady said. But once again, this is what we do. We hear 2 seconds, we read 2 seconds of a clip that somebody put together, and now we're making whole soliloquies over this one little thing. So there's that. Tabitha Brown, I'm grateful that not only did she say what she wanted to say, but in her response, in the rebuttal to what she was hearing, handled herself with class and grace and was able to say basically the same thing again, but add a little more clarity and context. And so allow me to add some additional context and some clarity. I am, again, y'all hear me say it every time we come on live, the author of The Affinity Theory and Echoes, books 1 and 2 of the saga. And I know, I see it, and everybody, we keep talking about it. We keep putting it in the atmosphere, so to speak, right? One of these days, Netflix, Hulu, somebody is going to be calling me, Anthony Russo, Tom Cruise, somebody is going to be calling me talking about, we want to put this on TV. We want to put this on the movie screen. I'll take Tubi. We want to put this somewhere. We want to put it somewhere so people can see it. That is the dream. That is the ultimate goal for me, to see my characters, Malcolm Simone, in the whole gang. I want to see them live on TV. I already know the actors. I want to play the parts. I already know the places. I want to shoot all these vision that I have. And it ain't happening right now. Ain't nobody knocking on my door. Ain't nobody knocking down the windows talking about, hey, I want to try to, turn this into this thing. I got the money, got the capital, got the people. Let's make this happen. Ain't nobody knocking on my doors yet. Emphasis on that word, yet. So how silly of me, how silly would it be of me to abandon all of my responsibilities to pursue this dream of turning these books into movies, to turning the vision that I have into this movie deal, into movie deals. How silly of me it would be if, knowing that we got mortgage to pay, we got kids in school, we got to eat, we got to do all the things, how silly it would be of me if I abandoned all of my responsibilities and laid them on my wife so that I can pursue a dream that has not come to pass. People often say, don't quit your day job. I'm not going to quit the day job until I am secure in this pursuit. Yes, I've put 2 books out. I'm trying to get to 9. We'll get to 9. I ain't going to say trying. We will get to 9 at the end of it all. And I'm going to work as a therapist every day and see these people and get paid so that my lights stay on, mortgage is taken care of. I'm not going to throw this on the shoulders of my wife. And then have the audacity to get mad at her because she's not supporting my dream while we out here drowning. You see what I'm saying? Like, she supports my dream, but we going to get these bills paid too. And how silly it would be for me to say, I ain't gonna do therapy no more. I'm just gonna pursue this wholeheartedly. I know if I just put my whole heart in this, I can make it happen. And I have no evidence of that. No evidence, no proof of that. I've sold over 2,000, I think we're approaching maybe 2,500 copies of my books. But a lot, again, that money, we don't see it. It's, again, paying this and paying that and trying to do this and trying to do that, trying to increase visibility, all these different things. So if I don't do this therapy, we're going to be up the creek. Knocking on mom and daddy, they'll talk about, hey, can I come live with y'all? They're going to be like, heck no, go get a job. And so, no, not knocking anybody's hustle as they're trying to make their dreams come true. Do what you got to do. But make sure that as you're working to make your dreams come true, you are working to make sure you can live to see another day. Because again, your dreams may be great, but what is your plan? So I think that's what gets lost in the sauce. You have a dream, but what is your plan? How are you going to execute getting where you want to be without jeopardizing your livelihood, jeopardizing your home, jeopardizing what you got going on? Again, to each his own. If you want to run that risk and take that gamble, absolutely. But you got a spouse, you got kids, responsibilities, bills, all that. If there is a way for you to do both, do both. Don't discount your dream. But what is your plan? What is your plan? A lot of places I would love to go. I would love to, go to every convention. Love to be on everybody's podcast, everybody's interview. Would love to do all of that. And I got kids and I got a wife and we got responsibilities that we got to take care of. So I would be remiss if I were to discount them on account of me trying to live my dream out. So I say all that to say to each and every one of you today, don't discount your dreams. But make sure you have a plan to take care of your livelihood, to take care of your family, to take care of yourself. I got clients right now who, they're like, dude, I got to do something. I'm like, yeah, man, you got to. You right. Go and get you a job. Go and get you a career. Go and get you a day job. Make sure those bills get paid. Make sure your people are secure. So that way, as you're pursuing your dream, you may not be able to pursue it wholeheartedly like you want to, but you can do a little bit. I can't write every day, but I can write when I can. That's how I got 2 books out. Got the 3rd coming out next year. I write a little bit at a time, while not discounting the day job and not discounting my kids and wife. I won't sacrifice them on the altar for the sake of the books. So again, Tabitha Brown wasn't telling you to stop dreaming. She was telling you to have a plan. Write your vision, as we all like to say, but make sure that your vision comes with a plan. Don't throw in all your chips. Well, you can keep some of your chips and pay this mortgage. And for those who are all up in their feelings about Tabitha Brown and what she said, check your heart. Check your heart. Because the fact that you're all up in arms about her may be indicative of how you really feel about you. And instead of taking that energy out on yourself, you're trying to take it out on her to make yourself feel better. Listen, I'm finna get up out of here. I appreciate y'all so much for listening to the Just Talking About podcast with your boy Eddie D right here on the various platforms of social media, as well as Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are live every Tuesday and Thursday, which may be changing soon as I'm figuring some things out. But I know we're definitely going to be on the podcast in terms of being on the streaming platforms. And so you can always catch new episodes of the podcast, regardless of how we decide to record them. Like today, we didn't go live today, but this is a recording and we're going to make sure we get it done. Again, I love y'all to life. Thank you so much. Again, we're presented by Rebirth Publishing, the publishing arm of the Affinity Theory Echoes. Go and get you a copy at your convenience. But as I always say, you can't see the good, be the good. I love you guys. Peace out, homies.